Now, to be fair, I do believe that they may have stopped spraying me in my room for whatever reason. I noticed that they're still following me, but it does seem to have, they do seem to have stepped down their gang stalking a bit. It probably won't last very long. They might spray me tonight. I don't know. It also could be due to the fact that they can't, that some nights I've been spending out and away, and they decided, well, why are we spraying him if he's not even going to be at home in the first place? That could have something to do with it. I also want you to consider that I'm much more capable of violence than anybody they know. The most Navy SEAL type person, is not as capable and as likely to be violent as I am. Because of the situation. It's like the king of the jungle. A mountain lion being mocked by a bunch of sheep. And they're acting very aggressive toward him. And he could just start ripping them apart, and they'd start scattering and running in fear and terror and, out of a desire to survive. And because they don't want my name to ring the loudest, they are willing to sacrifice their staff, their friends, their subordinates. So I give you 10 logical and 10 personal reasons for a militant approach, and I'll do one better. I'll give you one extra personal reason. These people, the story my older brother told me is that, he was with his friend, and these people jumped him, and they beat him up pretty bad. And, at first I believed his story for, what it was. But then when he told me the other story, it begged the question if the New World Order did it. He said that he was at church with my cousin, my parents, I believe, and it might have been my little brother too. And these guys came in and sat down, these black guys. And he said he recognized them as the ones who jumped him. And that during the church session, they walked up and they did some sort of a ritual. This is very interesting because one of my favorite movies, ironically, is Boondock Saints. And what these gang stalkers do is they do things similar to things that have some significance to you. And I've referenced this movie, and it might not be here nor there. I never really saw that as part of it, but what became very obvious to me is that these people made it clear that they're in a secret society and that they think they're in charge, And he said that my cousin was so nervous that he said he had to leave the church because these people were acting so aggressive. Now this story, part of me thinks that maybe he just made up this story. But why would he make up this story? Maybe he made it up so that later he could deny it. I don't know. Because my family is definitely playing stupid. They caught wind early on of what is going on. And, they pretty much decided that they're going to do it, that they're going to side with the government. Let's just say there's plenty of examples. I'll just give you one quick example. The first time I'd been back to the psych ward in almost 10 years, my older brother, basically pushed me through the room, broke my lock on my door. We struggled a little bit. The chicken wings I was carrying fell on the ground because my hands were full, showing that how could I possibly be the aggressor? I wasn't. Ripped my jacket, held me down, and, make a long story short, he had said, you're going to go to the psych ward, you're going to be forced on medication, and you're going to be forced to fall in line. He was very angry and in a very control freakish type of mood. Since then, he's almost made a point to try to play a more neutral role, a more brotherly role, partly sincere, partly fake. I'm sure you can imagine how that goes. But anyway, I think that was that happened after him being jumped. But I believe the incident in the church happened after I went back to the psych ward where he saw the people who jumped him. Before that, he didn't remember who they were. He was beat up badly. He was beat unconscious. And the other guy who had supposedly instigated it, his name was Lynn, he supposedly ran around and kept from getting beaten up. You know, and there was still 4 or 5 of them, and they're big black guys and what have you. And this was in San Francisco. So maybe he made the story up, maybe he didn't. You know, there's several things that will give away, you know, my family, you know, what my family say about me, you know, will give away to the world how much they've sold out, especially after I'm gone. I predicted I'll probably almost certainly die before them, you know. I predicted that I was going to die before the end of August. I was wrong. You know, and mostly the reason that was because I didn't intend to die. I intended to go to war with these people. And, you know, then I fell in love, and that pretty much killed that. And then I was, in July, I was going to go to war with them, and I was betrayed by the Northerners. But anyway, the purpose of this video is 10 logical and 10 personal reasons for a militant approach. Number 1, oppression. 2, Satanism. 3, spiritual bottom feeders in power. 4, major opposition groups are controlled. 5, the control grid. 6, old money. 7, injustice. 8, innocent suffering. 9, evil winning. 10, a gradual reduction in the ability to resist militarily. In the news today, there was talking about the, I forgot, it was like it was this new aircraft that, you know, they made almost 2,500 of them, 2,479 or something like that, for $400 billion, and they cost like $159 million each. I think they said it was. It was like the Firebird 2 or the Lightning 2 or something like that. And they also talked about these 2 people who's, you know, one of them had a Russian kind of sounding name, who isolated this new substance that was very thin and very strong, and there's new applications for, you know, the military, possibly, if they can figure out how to mass produce it, which they almost certainly will. And so, you know, I made this list before that. It's been on my wall for quite some time. It's actually part of my wall where you can't see. Yes, you know, I mean, I think we all are aware of that to some degree. Now, if you think about what a coward would say, well, that's a reason not to resist in a military fashion, because they don't want to be oppressed. They don't want to be the victims of Satanists. They don't want the spiritual bottom feeders to pick on them. They don't want the major opposition groups that are controlled to be used on them. They don't want the control grid. They don't want the old money to be used on them. They don't want more injustice in their life. They don't want to be the innocent people suffering. The evil's winning, and they want to be on the winning team. And since, you know, they're looking at the long term, they say, hey, you know, if their technology is increasing in the long term, and, you know, and we fail, then what does that mean for them? So from a coward perspective, those are reasons not to take a militant approach. Fucking pansies. Anyway, now we go to the personal reasons. In parentheses, I put what pisses me off and makes me inclined to strike back. My son, which I covered in the last video. Biafra. Those of you who don't know, it's the Nigerian Civil War, the Biafran War. Anywhere from 2 to 3 million people died. 3, always a broken heart. Yeah, because of how they sabotaged me, how they labeled me. I think that's one thing that people might mistake in the last video, you know, if they have any insight or any brain at all, they know. But some people are very, you should see some of the comments I get. Either they're playing stupid or they're very stupid, you know. Basically, it was the labeling of a mental disorder that was going to keep me from being successful in life, and how society reacts to that, you know. And I was absolutely right, you know, when you know, that was part of the reason for the abortion of what would have been my son, you know, my baby, my child. All right, so what was that? Oh yeah, potential rape. For those of you who've been watching my videos for a while, you know that it is almost certain, perhaps, that they sexually assaulted me, and perhaps even on more than one occasion. Both the times drugged. You know, you have no idea. Pharmaceuticals are used to kill people. They're used for eugenics purposes. You know, they're used to drug people for mind control, and they're used to intoxicate people, and so, you know, so they can rape them. They're also used to make people suggestible. You know, the CIA has tried to find a truth serum and things like this. And there was MK Ultra with LSD and so on and so forth. You know, pharmaceuticals are very nasty stuff, very evil stuff. They're abused. I'd go as far as saying they probably invested just as much money figuring out ways to harmfully apply pharmaceuticals for biological and chemical warfare as they have for finding cures for diseases. I mean, these people are something else, man. They're bad people. They're horrible, awful, unscrupulous, just evil, evil people. So anyway, where was I? Oh yes, shunned by women as a result of all they're doing. You can guess it. Living at home isn't exactly, you know, making me popular with the ladies all my life, you know. Being a real revolutionary, not from some kind of yuppie controlled opposition group that's popular, hasn't made me very popular, as you can imagine. Setups, you know, you can imagine that setting up, you know, including setting me up to get, most likely I was, you know, raped by these people. And as a great warrior, as a top martial artist, you can imagine it never sat well with me. And, you know, you can imagine it took courage to speak on this. You know, you can tell that anybody with any brain now, they know that I'm far more courageous than all the military put together, all the government put together, far more courageous. None of these people have done anything near what I've done. They put their life on the line the way I have. They haven't faced, you know, against the odds. You know, and how can a man die better than facing the fearful odds for the ashes of his father and the temples of his God? They haven't done that. I have. They haven't put their money where their mouth is with a top martial artist challenge in December, on December 20th. It will be 2 years exactly. They haven't done that. I have. So where was I? Okay, gang stalking. If you don't know what that is, look it up on my channels. There's a lot of disinformation about it. I just give you the facts. Pretty much everything I talk about that's, you know, perhaps harder to believe or that's political, there's a lot of disinformation out there. A lot of misinformation, misdirection, just a lot of lies and propaganda and fabrications and falsehoods. I give you the facts, and then I tell you how I feel about the facts. Betrayal. There's been a lot of that. I've been betrayed by everybody, and right now, most likely, the woman I love is in the process of betraying me, even though, you know, I feel that she's a good person. You know, when you see good people forced to betray you, to keep their head above the water in society, you know, it's really, you know, there's no, you'd have to experience it. You know, there's no really way to explain it. To see good people that, you know, especially ones that you've known for a long time, betray you because they feel like they have to, or they're, you know, it's made in their best interest, or they're blackmailed, or they're threatened, or whatever, for whatever reason. You know, it's really something else. You know, it really, you're just kind of numb and just fucked in the head, and then sometimes you have your angry moments. You know, that's what a lot of what you see with me. And sometimes I'm trying to be very articulate like I am right now. I'm very collected. And sometimes, you know, I'm just very angry, and I just have to tell them how I feel about it. So you'll see some videos where I'm very angry. Sometimes I'm even shouting. And you'll see some videos where I'm like this. There's no split personality, no bipolar disorder. It's logically what happens when a normal person is put in this situation. He knows that he can't just be a raving lunatic, which perhaps he feels like, and sometimes he gets worn out, and sometimes he's been thinking and doing research, so he's in a more calm, collected, organized state of mind, more organized thinking. And sometimes he's just all worked up and emotional and angry, and, you know, and he's thinking about the deeper implications. He's perhaps not focusing as much as he is on other occasions, and so he comes off very angry and just talking fast. And when you're angry, you talk fast, you misspeak. You know, and when you're hungry as well, it compounds the problem. When you have a prolonged lack of nutrition, you're not getting proper nutrition, it compounds the problem. Anyway, and then my institutionalization. I've been institutionalized, reform school, boot camp, psych ward, outpatient, you name it. You name it. Jail, even. Not prison, not level 2, you know, just basically, I believe it's just level 1 jail. You know, less than a week. But I've been institutionalized as a result of my targeting. And then, last but not least, ex-fiance. I was engaged in my 20s after I lost my son. And make a long story short, because I was disenfranchised and marginalized and just sabotaged by the white power structure, I lost her right around the time. You know, I lost her for the last time, right around the time I started making videos, because she came back, she left and came back, and so on. I'm out of time. Thank you.